Welcome back to What They Don't Teach You in School, where we teach life. My name is Donnie Thomas, and today we're going to be talking about education, which I am sure is one of your favorite topics. I remember as a young man, I loved education. I still love education to this day. I would read the encyclopedia from A to Z. I would read medical books to learn about remedies. I would read science books and practice experiments in my house. Well, in my apartment with my mom. I just loved education. And it was because my mom and my father always instilled in me time and time again that I needed to get my education because education was important. But what does that have to do with emotional state? Because over the past few sessions, we've been talking a lot about emotional state and how your emotional state is pivotal to enable you to operate within your purpose. After you've identified your purpose, you have to maintain it. And maintaining it requires you to be able to navigate out of negative emotional states very quickly so that you can be in positive emotional states and operate within your mission. Because if you spend your life the majority of the time in a positive state, you're more likely to accomplish your mission. Versus if you spend your life the majority of the time in a negative emotional state, you're less likely to meet the mission of your life. So what does education have to do with your emotional state? When I coach clients, many of them say to me that they're stuck in a particular area. And the reason that they arrive at why they're stuck is because they don't equip themselves with the education that they need in order to get themselves unstuck. When you find yourself in a place in your life where you say to yourself, I can't push beyond this boundary. I don't know what's going on. I can't move past this goalpost. 9 times out of 10, either there's a misalignment in what you're doing as it relates to your purpose and your values, or you're not equipped with the knowledge that you need in order to push past that boundary and meet the mission of your life. So education is a tool that you can use to get you unstuck. Now, there are a number of types of education. When we were young, we were forced to go to school, pre-K, kindergarten, middle school, etc., all the way up into high school. And then after high school, some of us decided that we wanted to go on to get advanced degrees or to specialize in certain areas like plumbing or HVAC systems, things of that nature. Some of us decided that going to any other school instead of the school of life after high school wasn't an option. You have very successful people who decided not to pursue advanced degrees, and they decided to go to the school of hard knocks, which is life. Different types of education have pros and cons. There are a lot of people who, when they're presented with education that does not fall within the traditional sense, if it's not this university, etc., then they tell themselves, oh my God, I can just go on YouTube. And YouTube is honestly a powerful, YouTube and Google, they're powerful sources of information. But it's a lot like going to a restaurant. When you go to Google, because you get the information and you hope that it's packaged in a way that will allow you to push past the barriers that you are faced with. But sometimes you have to piece together a whole bunch of different things in order to get the full picture. And that's why they have courses, because they pull together all of the information that you need in order to be successful to create this amazing dish. So again, going back to the analogy of the restaurant, you go to a restaurant because it's efficient, because you get a certain level of service, because the flavoring of the food is so out of this world that you could not imagine how to put that together. So you gotta go back there. You go there for the experience and to get your food quicker, your sustenance quicker, in a much more enjoyable way. Now, you don't have to go to a restaurant. You can cook your food at home. If we take it even further, you don't even have to go to the grocery store and cook your food at home. You can grow your food. But if you grow your food, it takes longer because you have to now grow your food and you have to make sure that you tend to it and that the pests and all these other things don't bother your food. You have to maintain a lot more than if you would have just gone to the restaurant, gotten your food, gotten your sustenance, and moved on to the next thing. And that's what different types of education are like. You have to determine and identify which one is best for you at the time of your life because finances are also a factor. But the one thing that holds true is that regardless of whatever education you get, you have to keep it going in order to remain relevant. Your education must be maintained in order to remain relevant. What you learned 10 years ago, 20 years ago, after you got your master's or your undergrad degree is not going to be as relevant as the teachings of today. Life changes so rapidly, so quickly. And so does education. And because education changes so rapidly and so quickly, you have to constantly maintain it and maintain your mind so that you can keep up with what's going on today. It's just like a car. When you drive it off the lot, it starts to depreciate a little bit. So at some point in the future, you got to re-up. You got to get more education to keep the wheels of your mind churning so that you can continue to push past the boundaries and meet the mail of your mission. So my question to you, my challenge to you is to answer this question. What are you learning? What are you learning? What is the last thing you've learned with respect to your personal mission? Think about your mission in life. And whenever you get stuck, think about what you can learn to push past the boundary that you're currently faced with. Sometimes your education is going to come in the form of a conversation with a friend because you were vulnerable enough to talk about your situation. And I've had several instances where I've had $1,000 conversation. I've had a $10,000 conversation where the advice of my friends and the people in my circle have either saved or made me thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But it's because I sought out the knowledge, whether it be through traditional means or by simply having conversations, that I was able to gain those efficiencies. So again, as I'm landing this plane, I'll ask you to ask yourself, what's the last thing you've learned? And what else can you learn in order to push past the boundary that you're faced with today? I hope that this helps, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Peace.